Hello, my name is Tamar and I am the Administrator for Dance of the African Diaspora at One Dance UK. In today's panel discussion is presented by One Dance UK and Black People in Dance in the UK. One Dance UK is the sector support organisation leading the way to a stronger, more vibrant and diverse dance sector. Our aim is to create a workforce that is well equipped to secure dance prominence in the cultural landscape of the future. We do this by providing services, information and opportunities for dance organisations, dance professionals, including dance artists and choreographers, dance teachers, educators and practitioners, dance managers and producers, dance medicine and science research professionals, and of course, all children and young people. One Dance UK is also a membership organisation. If you are not already a member, then please join. Together, we are stronger. Enjoy today's panel discussion hosted by Christopher Rodrieguez, Deputy Chief Executive and Finance Director of One Dance UK, with key panellists from Black people in dance in the UK. Today's talk is part of our biannual publication Hot Foot Online, Hot Foot Spring Edition 2021. Thank you.
Hi and welcome everyone. We have a great bunch of people in with us today. Akosua Boakye, Jeanefer, Jean Charles, Vicki, Igbokwe. I mean, all stalwarts in dance, and they've created Black People in Dance in the UK. Tell us a little about yourself and your role in dance.
I'll start off with this. Hi, Chris, how are you?
Oh, I'm very good. Very good. All the better for seeing you.
It's been a long while.
Yes.
My name is Akosua Boakye. I am the founder of Akosua Performing Arts Academy, which amalgamates Western and African diaspora dance and performing arts for young people between the ages of 6 and 16. My background, now I'm a freelancer, and my career spans across as a creative practitioner within education, within the theatre, theatrical sections, and the community setting as well. I'm also the Cub Academy coordinator and the children's casting director for Disney's West End musical, The Lion King, and a lecturer at Canterbury Christ Church University. Feel like I'm on Mastermind.
Hi, I'm Jeanefer Jean Charles. I'm an artistic director, mass movement specialist, and creative consultant. I've been in the business for many, many years. I started off as a school teacher, actually, and then, left that and went into freelance work, ran my own company, Bullies Ballerinas Jazz Dance Productions, for 10 years. We toured the UK and abroad. My Lindy Hop jazz and contemporary has taken me to over 21 countries. And I work in a lot of mass participation work. I work a lot with communities. And this year I'm working on my own production, Black Victorians, which is about to tour in 2021, which is quite exciting.
Hey Chris and everyone listening, my name is Vicki Igbokwe. I am a coach, choreographer, facilitator, movement director, and the founder of Uchano Dance, and our work is all about empowerment, entertainment and education, and personally I live to enable people to think fierce, be fabulous and live free-spirited, and do that through the medium of dance.
Great, there you go. What did I say? 3 formidable people in dance, and we're lucky to have all 3 here in one space. So let's just get on to what you created as well, which is Black People in Dance in the UK. And I know it is probably a response to a gap that might have been there. But tell us about Black People in Dance in the UK, and what were your motivations for starting the group?
Over the summer last year, 2020, I had been engaged in a series of conversations with Dr. H. Patten, who is now MBE as well. And we had begun a series of conversations back in May 2020 about our practice within the African diasporic forms. And we have a way of checking in every time we connect in conversation. And in this particular conversation, he asked me how I was doing. And anybody who knows me, direct, straight to the point. And on this particular day, I was not doing very well. I have found myself swelling up as I thought about what he had asked, and I felt extremely heavy-hearted. And this was because it was a time where I was dealing with the implications of COVID on friends and family, and just the general devastating effects of that on the African and Caribbean communities at large. And then with, at that time, the killing of George Floyd, which was not just an American problem, and also the Black Lives Matter movement. And a lot has been going on, the public outsing of decades and decades of, what I describe as unspoken racism, were all flooding back for me. And it was a time where I felt that I couldn't continue to nurture this silence that had become very much a part of the way I lived. And if I spoke for myself, the way I lived in many cases. And for me, this stemmed from the consistent semblance of normalcy around the persistent issue of racism, which for me is deeply rooted in the country's history of colonialism and just post-colonial culture. And so at the time, so various open letters had been expressed to various governing bodies about Black Lives Matter, and various other topics were seated within that. And I felt at that time, the voice of Black people in dance in the UK needed to be out there. It needed to be heard. And a small group of us came together to talk. We did not have the answers. We still don't have the answers. But at that time, the aim was about coming together to reconnect and consult the sector's leaders, and to bring many voices from the wider community of individuals, small and large companies, together to ensure communication was represented in backing the change that we had initially discussed. And we felt that we needed the backing and the support of the wider sector if we wanted to impact and change. And this included individuals that are here in the room with me, Vicki Igbokwe and Jeanefer, but also Sharon Watson, Bob Randine, Greta Mendez, who's also MBE at the moment in time, Paulette Brooks of Serendipity, Freddie Opokwade, Gail and Ian Parmel of ACE Music and Dance, Botis Sever was there, Dolly Henry, Martin Hylton, Alexander Sutton, many others, Alexander Adishola, I should say, Akindele, and Beverly Glean, Robert Hylton, and H. Patten. And those are just naming a few.
And I guess what was really important for us and what motivated us, Chris, is as we had this conversation, as we looked at the letter, as we sent it out, which Akosua had already done, and she then got a response, we realized that actually we need to, take hold of the narrative. We need to tell these organizations what we want, rather than then responding to a letter and telling us what they're going to do. So we started calling a series of meetings to say, thanks for your response, we want to have a meeting. And we decided before we have that meeting, we wanted to call our wider community, as many who would come, who associate themselves as Black people in dance, to come and have a conversation on Zoom and to say, here's the letter, this is what we're thinking, what do you think, what would you like to see? And that has become, whilst we're a very early initiative, it's become quite an important part of the way we work. It's our model, which is whatever the issue is, we work together as an initiative, but at some point we take it out to our wider membership and we say, come on, let's talk about this, and to make sure that it's not just a few voices on the table, but many voices. And even if not everyone can come to the meeting, but their voices are being heard. So that's a real motivation moving forward. And actually Zoom makes that so much more possible because we do see ourselves as a national initiative, which is very, very important. And we still have a lot more reaching out to do and keen to do, and hope something like this will bring us more voices to this initiative.
And Chris, the beauty of this also, and the mention of Zoom and the model, the first conversation, after the first conversation, which H. Patten was part of, he reached out to Bob Ramdini, and together they drafted a letter and contacted myself back. In looking at that letter, we connected with that wider community in order to ensure, as Jeanefer expressed, the voices are heard. So consultation for us is really, really key in moving forward, because the many voices also communicate the many needs that will look to making the changes that will support a history of contributions that need to be made aware of.
That kind of leads on to, what are your plans to position the group, both in the dance landscape and also in the wider cultural space?
So for us, in terms of positioning, it's about us being a responsive group of people, of Black people that are already working in the dance sector. And I should just say here that, you know, those that are not represented, that are not here with us today, who form the current collective of members, the kind of core group that meet outside of the public meetings, are H. Patten, Caramel Soldier, Joseph Toonga, and Sharon Watson. So I just want to also make that clear for the listeners that we are a collective of 7. And what we have been talking about, and I think as Jeanefer expressed a little bit earlier, is it's still very new. I talk about Black people in dance in the UK being gifted to us, because it definitely wasn't something that we were looking for, but it was something that presented itself, and we have all, you know, made the commitment to it. So in terms of positioning ourselves, it's about being a responsive collective of arts and dance practitioners. And ideally for us, we will be, along with some of the other initiatives that have started that are also focusing on Black people, the go-to initiative that people who are wanting to understand what they need to be doing better for Black people in dance can come to. We see ourselves as also really wanting to position ourselves around many more of the decision-making tables. You know, I use the phrase that we are the people that are working on the front line. We're working on the ground. We're out here with audiences, with participants. And a lot of the time, people that look like us are not around the decision-making tables, or we have influence, but we don't necessarily always have the power. So we also want to be able to be around those tables and take the information, take the views of our wider members to these conversations as well. So that's really the work that we're doing, and we're going to be doing that collectively, and we're also going to be doing that individually as well, because at the moment we're not doing anything around, you know, constituting ourselves as an organisation. We are a responsive and reactive team of practitioners that really see that there has been, I think you talked about it a little bit earlier, Chris, you know, there has been a gap. There has been a bit of a lag in terms of the support for Black people in dance. So this is where we, amongst some of the other initiatives that have been created, come in.
And with what Vicki has also talked about just now, Chris, when we look at Black people in dance in the UK on that historical level, our contributions to the British dance sector is far and wide. And in some cases, when we start to look at the gaps within it, we have to also look at how training is supported, how studies are supported. When you talk about Black British or Black dancers within the British dance context, many students in this country's first connection with Black people within dance, you will get them mentioned in either Alvin Ailey Dance Company. And there is such an array of artists in this country who have contributed to the landscape and who people need to know about. It's great to see at this point in time that Kenrick Sandy's work, Emancipation of Expressionism, is on the GCSE national curriculum. But for example, that is one. Kenrick is in my generation. There has been many, and there are others who are still contributing to the landscapes who we don't see, who are not visible, but really helping to strengthen what is British dance. So when we start to look at Black people in dance in the UK, the organization will look to really support the sector, making it visible, being, as Vicki mentioned earlier on, very much part of the decisions that are being made that are affecting us, our careers, and the next generations. And importantly, we must influence those decisions simply because it is our history that is being told, and it must be told correctly. It must be told in a way that the correct kind of legacies are left for the next generation of Black people in dance in the UK. And they are being reared right now, and they must have the freedom to do and be part of the wider British dance sector. And they must be taught correctly in order to be able to impact and influence. And talking correctly, when I talk about correctly, it also means about the history. What has come before them, what is happening now, and what they will lend their hand to building for the future.
I think also what's really important, what Black people in dance are doing, is hopefully putting an end to Black dance, African dance being put in a box and then, you know, disregarded and having no value. We are making it very, very clear, whilst we want to celebrate the styles of the African diaspora, and you know, that's really important to traditional styles. This initiative is about the actual Black people, whatever they do in dance, that they are supported. In my time running my company, Bullish Ballerinas, I had to just keep on trying to fit into a box, the Black dance box, and it just was so frustrating. And I'm really hoping that this is going to, just create wider conversations and give the real opportunities that we should have, and equal opportunities, no matter what style we're working in.
Yeah, and I really just want to second and third that, because that, I guess that theme around, is it Black people, is it Black dance, is something that is very, very close to my heart, because actually a lot of the time, even as Black people working in dance, the Black dance styles that we have birthed and created, we are not always afforded or given credit or opportunities. So this is, I'm literally just really jumping off what Jeanefer just said, but because it's so important to me that this is about Black people in dance. Whether you're a Black person that works in the ballet world or the contemporary world, is a producer, is an artist, it's about protecting, elevating and empowering Black people who are working in dance in the UK.
Okay, that makes it a lot clearer, and I can see that point too that you raised with Vicki and Jeanefer as well, about about being at the decision-making tables, because it does seem that therein lies one of the major problems. Because even if you have to be Black people in dance, the fact that we can even talk about people over form shouldn't be a choice that people should have to make. It should just be there as part of your expression. If you were sitting at the decision-making table, and it should be a moment of ease, and not one of stress to have to live through this. Anyhow, that puts me on to the next question. So there have been many tough questions rightfully being asked of organizations in the dance sector. And these questions and subsequent actions have been long overdue. What are some of the positive changes you've seen emerge in the last 12 months? if any?
I like that you put the if any on the end. No, there definitely have been. I think I would say that there's been a difference in conversations. I mean, I was even, thinking as you were asking that, even just the emails that we have all been receiving, it feels like now there is less of a shift of people making assumptions. And again, these are people that are in, these positions of power, and more conversations and more questions being asked, and actually being asked of the right people. To really understand what a Black person in dance in the UK goes through, you have to speak to Black people who are working in the dance sector. So just as like one thing to offer, that has definitely been something that, we have seen, that I won't say that there is a change, because we're looking for long lasting change, but there has definitely been a shift. And what we hope is that that shift continues and continues and continues to a point where, actually we don't even need to be here having this, having this conversation. So I'll stop there. I'm sure the ladies will come in with some other points.
I suppose in terms of celebration and just seeing the changes that have been made, that has already happened, just briefly, is just seeing Freddie's position with Dance Umbrella, which is incredible. Yami's position, starting a new hip hop model at Laban, and
Diane Alison Mitchell, is that?
Yes, that's the one. Yeah, and her position at the Guildhall. And what's really important about that is that these are people that, who can make decisions. They can bring other artists in. They can, just elevate and raise an awareness of a whole community that just goes completely undervalued and ignored. And this is a moment in time. And I do think, there can be a feeling like, oh, yeah, we've heard all this before. There's always been these conversations. But I think a lot of people are saying George Floyd didn't die for nothing. There's others before him, but this time round, I get a sense that we don't want to ever pause this. This is a conversation that just needs to continue. And perhaps it's because of lockdown that everyone has had time to really face Black Lives Matter, because they've got nothing to do. They're at home, so they really can face it. They can't be too busy to talk about it, too busy to deal with it. And actually, there's something about Zoom when you're having a conversation. Everyone is equal. We can see everyone's faces, and you can have these conversations. So yeah, I think that's really positive.
And if I may add, since we sent the letter forward, other conversations have also taken place with Black people in dance in the UK. We've been talking to an institution. We're talking to Funding Arts Council as well. And it's great to see that conversations are happening. They are following through. For example, what would be great to see is the actions that are taking place, that are consistently taking in the long term, to see the fruits of what has been discussed and what is agreed thereafter. So these are positive changes in a sense. Conversations are taking place at this moment in time with Black people in dance in the UK to look to making certain impactful changes that are well overdue.
How do you recommend we pave the way for future aspiring dance artists interested in dance of the African diaspora? And how do we actively champion the work of Black artists?
I'm going to say something. The thing you said that's really key there is paving the way and championing the work of Black people, Black artists. Champion the work of Black people in dance in the UK. And I think it should begin with putting a stop to pigeonholing Black people in dance in the UK. That's really, really important. We are not just about dance of the African diaspora. We are that and much more. And this view for me is that thing where we mustn't view ourselves from that Western lens, that Western point of view, or be looked at in that particular way. For me, that needs to change. In addition, also, we are a national organization in that respect. We should be viewed as a national organization. We are dealing with Black people from all around the UK, and we come together with different disciplines. We're all from different career backgrounds within dance within Britain. And what we do and what we present is equivalent to any other contemporary art. And I think to shift forward to be recognized on that level, BPD is positioned as an essential go-to organization, and it should receive national funding to address and pave the way for the history that Black artists have contributed to this country. And the approach that Jeanefer described earlier on as that holistic approach is one that, when you look at the organization, is made out of a range of departments, people with years of experience, all in one organization. So paving the way would mean supporting a company like this to support its wider community at large, to ensure that there is equality in dance in Britain. That's one.
One of the important things as well, Chris, is we're not waiting for permission. We're not asking for permission anymore. We don't have to. So whether the outside world wants to take us seriously or not, we've got a lot of work to do ourselves. We've got a chance, again, with Zoom, this platform, of meeting each other, talking, sharing ideas, spotlighting each other, celebrating what we do, you know, send it out there on our social media platforms, even to the point like, you know, making decisions about which social media platforms you elevate. Actually, it's all really important. So we, you know, we are paving the way by, you know, spreading that message that we've got to look after each other. We don't have to wait for permission. We can do this anyway. We can get to know each other. We can pick up the phone. We can talk. We can support. You don't need funding to do that. You just got to be advocating. And that's really an important part of this journey.
And I would just add as well that, you know, in terms of paving the way for those that are coming up, you know, behind us, next to us, those that have been there in front of us, you know, it's that thing of representation as well, and really raising the profile and raising the visibility of, again, Black people in dance, you know, especially for those that are coming up. It's very disheartening when you walk into spaces, you go into, you know, your training program for your first day, and you look around and you don't see as many that, you know, that look like you. So really developing the representation, the visibility, the profile of us, and also us as a very new organisation, collective, also really working in collaboration. I think, you know, when Akosua first spoke, she mentioned, you know, there's serendipity, ACE music and dance, you know, impact dance. There are so many Black-led organisations that are working in dance, that are working in the arts, that we also really hope that those organisations that are out there and that have been going for many years before this initiative was born, that they are also continue to give and continue to get the support so that they can also continue doing the work. And we also hope that, you know, we can continue collaborating with them. There has to be plenty. We want to get out of this space where it's, you have your one Black person or you have your one Black organisation, and then you go, well, our work here is done. I always use the analogy of the high street. You have all the different high street stores. They're actually all selling the same thing, but they're working towards a particular customer. It's the same way. There's a young person out there that may like the work that I am doing, and another one who goes, actually, the work that Akosua is doing or that Jeanefer is doing is more of my thing. So we also want to create this choice. And in that way, in creating choice and creating diversity and creating plentiful, that is another way for us to really pave the way as well.
And Chris,
sorry, yes.
One of the key ways in the way we're working also is that bridging element. It's generations. I had the benefit of working with Bob Rundini. I had a benefit of working with Patten. I had a benefit of working with Kamara on Art History Youth, who was very, very supportive over the summer with the work that we were doing. This is about bridging. This is about connecting the generations across, and not just about one generation of dance who have been here, whose shoulders we're standing on, but yet we are not pushing other people up. It is about ensuring that we have a very wide vision, and not blink at a very wide vision of who make up Black people in dance in the UK, whose voices, what they are communicating, and how together, collectively, we consult and move forward.
Yeah, that's superb, really. Yeah, just really outstanding. And I like that sentiment of well, we're not waiting anymore. We're not waiting for permission, and that is it's a daring place to be. It's a scary place to be, but it's also one of the best places to be, and you know, truly for brave hearts. So, and I think that's what we have here with you three, which is just to say thank you. I mean, thanks not just from One Dance UK, but thanks to myself too, as somebody who's in dance, to say thanks that you are making that kind of connection and doing it fearlessly and responding to a need that is there. So yes, I'm sure I'm speaking for everyone to say thanks. And I hope that we have some way that if persons want to join you, we will give some information how they can perhaps get in touch if necessary. But for now, this has been absolutely brilliant. And I'd like to thank Akosua, Jeanefer, and Vicki, say three stalwarts in your own way, three tour de forces, or however you pronounce that. But just to say thank you hugely for sharing the information and giving your insights. And that's the end of our podcast. I hope everyone listening enjoyed as much as I did and learned as much or even more than I did, because it's great to know that there are people out there looking for Black people in dance in the UK and making sure that we work together. So thanks again.
Thank you, Chris, and thank you to One Dance UK for asking.
Thank you.